Yo guys, what is going on? Today I decided to do a little bit different type of video. I'm actually going to do my personal top 10 MLB The Shows. Um, Before we get started, I do want to point out I really didn't play '07, '06 through '08. I started playing in '09, so I'm going to be a little bit biased, so it's kind of hard to rank '06 through '08. I just know we're on the PS2, and I think '08 is when they made the transition to PS3. So I decided to go ahead and do this top 10 video. I'm going to kind of show trailers from each of the top 10s and kind of talk about them. But let's go ahead and get started, starting with number 10. Alright, so for number 10, I went ahead and just picked MLB '07 The Show. Again, I really didn't play MLB The Show during this time. I just know the game was talked about a ton. I was actually still playing 2K Baseball. I had an Xbox. 2K Baseball wasn't very good. And I don't know, I was kind of out of baseball these few years. I mean, I just didn't have a baseball game to play. I mean, I watched the Cardinals, but they kind of struggled during '07. So, I don't know, I was kind of out of my baseball fix for this year. I just didn't enjoy baseball as much back then. I don't know if it's because I didn't have a game to play. That sounds really crazy. Yeah, but it is. I don't know what happened, but yeah, I never gave this game a try. It was still on PS2, but all I heard was good things about the show. So at this time, I just didn't give it a try yet. As far as I know, you still see some of the same animation, some of the same commentary, but for a PS2 game, this game looks fantastic. And as far as I know, the hitting engine and all that was really good. Lots of new features, franchise mode, and MLB The Show always had Road to the Show. I think it was the first sports game to introduce, like a My Player mode. Moving on to number 9. This isn't a really big surprise. It's just going to be MLB '08. Again, I was still playing Xbox, so I didn't really, wasn't into baseball as much, really, Same for 7. '08, personally, the Cardinals, I still watched them, but they weren't as good. I was in college during this time. I was kind of more into basketball and, some other stuff. I don't know. I mean, I still like baseball. I just didn't have a PS2, so I didn't really play it. Now, I think this was the year it transitioned to PS3, and I didn't get a PS3 until later. So this is probably why I have them at the bottom of the list. MLB The Show '06, probably the same way. I mean, I saw some trailers of it. '07 and '08 looked like they were much improved. But again, I heard great things about these games. I know they were just bare bones. They had franchise and Road to the Show. And they just, slight graphical improvements. For number 8, this is where it's going to start to get a little bit more interesting, at least. This is going to be MLB The Show 14. Now, some of these I start to judge on their online play. I mean, I was more into online play during 14. And 14 for the PS4 actually didn't get released until like late May. So it was almost 2 months. MLB The Show, it was coming out in March. It used to come out during spring training, and now it comes out like at the end of spring training before the season starts. But it used to come out at the start of spring training. I remember when MLB The Show came out, end of February. So this was a little different. Had to wait all the way till May to get this game. It was kind of bare bones. The Diamond Dynasty was still transitioning. I mean, they didn't transition it until utilize the real MLB license yet. They still had real players on there, but the servers were just awful. This is also a year they made a transition to a different online infrastructure. It was just, you were seeing warped pitches, you were seeing weird things in the outfield. People didn't really understand what was going on. Yes, it kind of made it better in a way, but I mean, there were so many visual anomalies when playing online. It kind of just got in your head when you were swinging. So personally, this was a great game offline. It was just kind of bare bones and online and all that, and the graphics were much better. But some of the player models were kind of for PS4. It was the first game for the PS4. I mean, it was a good game, and for its time, it wasn't bad. It's just, out of all those things, slight disappointment. I mean, it was still a good game. I played it more offline, really, than online. And moving on to number 7, I actually put MLB The Show. Well, wait for it. No, this is actually MLB The Show 10. So this is when Maurer was on the cover. This is when I was playing the heck out of the show. I loved it. I wasn't really playing online. It's still kind of laggy for me, so I didn't really give it a chance. Maybe it's just my internet connection. I was probably trying to play on like Wi-Fi, and I think my download was like 3 or 5. It wasn't very good, and I was trying to play on Wi-Fi. but I played the shit out of franchise mode on this. Tons of fun. I also like playing like against my friends and my brother. It was just a lot of fun. Again, I didn't really get in online all that. The graphics were getting better, and I believe this was the year. I think it was actually 11 they introduced analog. I don't think it was quite 10. But the graphics were just getting better. This is really when PS3 was hitting its prime with these titles. So I just had a lot of fun playing it. And like I said, I played a shit ton of franchise. I played Road to the Show a little bit, but I kind of got away from Road to the Show and stuck more to franchise and just playing against friends and whatnot. So this is really when I started to get more involved with playing MLB The Show. I wouldn't say I was involved with the community or anything like that. I didn't really go on forum. I go on Operation Sports and all that, But what was really cool about MLB The Show back then for franchise mode is you get the OSFM rosters. We kind of take that for granted now, and I really don't play offline as much. But it was so awesome to get those rosters, and really the only website I use is Operation Sports, which was a great community for its time. There wasn't a Reddit or anything else like that back in the day. Moving on to number 6. Now, I'm a little biased here, but I went ahead and picked MLB The Show 09. This was actually my first MLB The Show. Again, this was on PS3. This is still in the developmental phases, you could say, of PS3. MLB The Show 8 was the first one. I believe. I think 07. Somebody can correct me. I think 07 that transitioned to PS3. 08 was like the first full year, I believe. And then 09 was the next stepping stone. This game was just a lot of fun. It was just my first time, my first year playing it. I was coming over from Xbox. I wanted to get back into baseball a little bit more. I wanted to play some franchise mode, and this is really also the first time I started playing Road to the Show, and I loved it. I remember I had a closer. You could import your own music. I had Enter Sandman on there for my closer, and I just played a heck ton of franchise mode again. I loved it. I was a noob. I was using guest pitch and all that. I didn't really know any better. That's how the game was played. Again, didn't mess with it online with 09, and really probably 10's probably a better game, but I just kind of have a biased opinion for 09 since it was my first time into the franchise. It took me a while to get used to this game. I was used to playing really 2K and MVP baseball. This game was just a lot different with the zone hitting and all that, so it took me a while. So yeah, MLB The Show 09, I got that one ranked number 6. And for number 5, we're just going to go ahead and move on to MLB The Show 11. I won't make you guys wait for it. So basically, this was just an improvement from 10. I believe this is also the year they introduced all the analog stuff. Like they had analog hitting. They introduced analog pitching. I wasn't really a fan during its time. And I also remember they had like that PS Move thing. This might have been the first year it was usable on this game. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was either 10 or 11. I believe it was 11. So they had a lot of new stuff coming over to 11. Of course, the graphics and animations and all that slightly got better. And I didn't play 11 online. I played like a few games, but I didn't really mess with it online too much. Again, was just playing a lot of franchise mode. It was just a lot of fun. I love the OSFM rosters. So much stuff to do. I remember I had a franchise with Oakland. I always try to kind of rebuild them. I guess trying to be like Billy Bean. I don't know. But it was just a lot of fun trying to build teams back up. And yeah, I didn't really mess with this game online yet. It was, I don't know, I tried it a few times and it was still kind of laggy. I just didn't give it much of a try. I also, during this time, I wasn't able to play much online. I was away from home for a little bit. But this was a great game. 10 and 11 are kind of similar games to me. I just remember they both had Mauer, and they both had those awesome commercials. I can't remember what the guy's name was. He was hilarious. I kind of wish they went back to those old commercials. Their marketing back then was awesome. I loved it. It was really funny. I'm not sure what happened to that guy. And the Joe Mauer commercials and all that was real cool. Joe Mauer was just awesome. But yeah, a lot of fun. Just still playing offline. So I give MLB The Show 11 number 5 on our list. Came out March 8th, 2011. I told you guys they came out before, or right around spring training. So it was real cool. Once February hit, you were about to get MLB The Show. So the next one, this is number 4. And I actually gave this to MLB The Show 15. So this is when this is probably, I would say I wouldn't say in the prime, but like I was playing online a lot at this point. And this is when they introduced the bare bones. I wouldn't call it bare bones, but they introduced the new Diamond Dynasty. They also had year-to-year saves. They had quick counts. They had player lock. They had a lot of cool stuff for 15. They introduced a lot of that for 14. The player lock and the quick counts and all that, which made franchise mode a lot of fun. Actually, I forgot to mention that for 14. But 15 introduced. I remember it was the new Diamond Dynasty. They were trying to utilize the MLB license a little bit. They had the 30 new legends. They also had all the equipment and sponsorships and all that. So it was a lot of fun when it first started, but you could forecast that it was going to get kind of boring. The content was just not there for Diamond Dynasty. It was their first year transitioning, and pretty much everybody had a stacked same team. I mean, everyone's going to get a stacked team, but everyone had the same team, within the first month. But it was a lot of fun. The gameplay was really good for 15 as well. The timing was really rewarding for 15. Took probably the most skill out of all of them, maybe. I don't know. I just remember the gameplay was really good. So moving on to number 3 here. And this is going to be MLB The Show 16. This one was really good as well. And this was after 15, This 15 was the first full year, really. They made that transition to DD. They had a full cycle to build and add all these new things for PS4. Unfortunately, they're still making it for PS3 for 15, and that was kind of holding it back. I think for 16, it was either the last year for PS3. I think 15 was 16 was the last year for PS3. And I don't know if it's necessarily holding it back. 'Cause 17, they did a lot of different things in 17, but we're not really going to talk about that in this video. But 16, it added flashbacks, it added more legends, it added Battle Royale, added a lot of graphical improvement, it added classic stadiums, it added them back. It added the precision gameplay, or whatever they called it, precision input. So I did notice that in 16, you had to be a lot more precise with your PCI. It made a lot more sense. If you're under the ball, you're going to hit it in the air. If you're on top, you're going to be on top of it. It's honestly probably more precise than what it is now. The hitting engine was fantastic in 16, in my opinion. Yeah, there was some kind of BS, just late hits. But the exit velos, compared to 17, made a lot more sense. The bad thing with 16 was the bunning. And honestly, a lot of previous MLB The Shows, the bunning was pretty much always bad. And honestly, we kind of forget how bad some of the old MLB The Shows are, and I'll talk about that with the next two. With stealing, I mean, people used to do the early steal, and it would just prolong games. Also, when people were losing, they would just start to bean you for countless hours, and there was no mercy rule or fair play. In fact, I don't think they put that in play until maybe 14 or 15. I don't quite remember. And then, of course, for 16, they're also adding more to Diamond Dynasty with Battle Royale and Conquest, and all that was really cool. So they did a lot of stuff for 16, and I think they made the gameplay. They didn't change too much of it, but they improved it with a precision gameplay, precision input, whatever you want to call it, and made it that much better, in my opinion. Just a fantastic game, and we'll go ahead and move on to number 2. So for number 2, this was a toss-up. My first two, I could have swapped them pretty easily, but I went ahead and went with MLB The Show 13. By the way, this had by far the best soundtrack. The other MLB The Shows, some of them had decent soundtracks, but the soundtrack on MLB The Show 13 and the intro when you started up the game, I think, was the best. It played Imagine Dragons. I don't know, it was just really cool, and I love the game. This was after their first year of Diamond Dynasty, and they added a lot of new things for Diamond Dynasty that they had problems with in 12. You weren't able to max out your player and everything. It took a lot more skill to build your team. They opened up the timing just a little bit. They didn't slow down the pitch speed, but the timing was more open up, so it was a little easier to pull the ball. And I honestly probably hit my best this year in 13. I almost hit 400 that year. I think I'm actually hitting better than that now, but they patched the game so much this year, it's hard to tell. 13 was just a lot of fun. People were able to pull the ball, but it still took a lot of skill. MLB The 13 was definitely a blast. And moving on to my number 1 MLB The Show is going to be MLB The Show 12. I'll talk a little bit, I'll talk about why I think this is the best one. It was either between this or 13. 13 did make some of improvements, but I kind of have just a nostalgic feeling for 12. It's kind of when I started to get involved with the community. I started going on like the Show Nation. I don't really go on there too much now. It's just kind of, I don't even know. I don't know if toxic's the right word. I'm getting sick of hearing that word, to be honest. Just a bunch of like conspiracy theorists on TSN now. But I remember just, hanging out on TSN. I loved being on those forums. And Diamond Dynasty was, it wasn't too popular. Not too many people were playing it. And when I first saw it, there's the PS move right, by the way. I don't know if 13-12 was the first time they introduced it. But anyways, yeah, it was the first year for Diamond Dynasty, and it was just weird, different. I mean, all the other sports games were getting into the Ultimate Team modes. MLB The Show was a little late. I remember Nick Livingston was like the head creator for Diamond Dynasty, kind of put it all together, and it was just a lot different from other Ultimate Teams. The one thing I liked about their Diamond Dynasty in 12 compared to now is there was just a lot more customization, especially compared to other Ultimate Team modes. They still have like the same uniform and logo creator, which they do, but it was just a lot of fun. You could also use real Major League players, so I don't know if people realize that or not, but they were kind of more like rentals. You only had it for 10 games. By the way, when you also made like the World Series, you got a patch actually on your uniform. It was really cool. So, and you could customize and edit any of your players, their stance, all that. You just couldn't edit their, you couldn't make them switch hitters or lefties or whatever. So it was real cool, and it was really hard to find really good pitchers. They also had a card recycler. The packs weren't as cool as they were now because you didn't get to keep the players all the time. But if you did so well with certain players, they made like this Hall of Fame. It was just really cool in my opinion. I think it's slightly better now. The content's obviously better now. I just think it was such a cool idea for its time, and I just had a lot of fun messing with it. I actually want to show you guys the trailer for Diamond Dynasty back then.
Create, customize, train, compete, and collect in Diamond Dynasty, new to MLB 12 The Show. In Diamond Dynasty, it's up to you to build a championship roster of customized all-stars and Major League players. Step 1 is creating your team. Name and customize your squad with the most robust uniform and logo creator ever offered. To get started, you'll receive a 25-man roster of Dynasty players and 2 packs of primer cards. You can completely customize Dynasty players and, more importantly, train them to become the next All-Star. Dynasty cards range from bronze to platinum and can include up to 5 tool bonuses, including power, contact, arm, fielding, speed, pitch control, pitch break, and pitch velocity. The game stat represents the number of games a player can play throughout his career. The higher the player's aptitude value, the more cost-effective he is to train. Spend your budget wisely to train your players and develop your roster. From the card management screen, you can activate, sell, and recycle cards. If an MLB card is a part of a collection, activating or recycling it will automatically add to the proper collection. Activating a card transitions them into a player and fills a roster spot. Once activated, a card can no longer be recycled or sold. Buy and sell cards through the marketplace. Complete full collections to earn budget and improve your team. Dynasty and MLB packs can be purchased at any time using budget or through credits purchased at the PS Store. Enter a head-to-head game to accumulate statistics, gain rank, and earn fan support. Statistics edge your player closer to the Hall of Fame. Gaining rank moves you up the leaderboard. And earning fan support increases budget earned. Compete head-to-head to gain rank and climb up the series standings. Challenge the CPU to earn budget and unlock each team's stadium without risking your team's rank. Standings are recalculated after the completion of each season. You'll be placed in one of 4 divisions: Season Series, Division Series, Championship Series, and World Series. Seasons are completed after every 5th game. Check your rank and awards as you climb the ranks. Manage your players, roster, and card collections effectively, and you'll become a Diamond Dynasty legend.
So yeah, it was just a lot of fun. It was just a lot different. Like they had the 5 game seasons, the Hall of Fame. They had attendance. So if you like played better, you got more budget and all that. I mean, it's obviously the content's like a lot better now. I guess it's just a lot more grindier now than what it used to be. You used to be able to just play organically and get budget and all that. I just think it was a lot more somewhat competitive. And I also say like the divisions, there was only like 5 or 6 people in the World Series. There was not many people at all in the World Series. I think maybe by the end of the year, maybe there was like 9 or 10. The game was just played a lot differently online, and I think the online played pretty well in 12 and 13. To be honest, it's just a little different now. The lag's just a little different. I don't want to get into all that. Anyways, guys, let me know if you guys enjoyed the video. I'm trying to do some different things. If you have any video ideas, possibly, I've been thinking about this one for a while. So guys, and let me know what your favorite MLB The Show is, and you know, if you agree or disagree with my ranking. Also, guys, curious to know what your first MLB The Show was. So thanks for watching the video, guys. This is car number 5 signing out. Peace.